Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Town Hall with Mr. Z. I hope you all had a marvelous spring break. I put that in my e-notes message tonight as well, and really glad to be back. Was certainly brilliant seeing all the kids coming in on Monday and coming back normal for the first time without a virtual day on our backs. It was certainly wonderful to be able to greet and get through testing and not see a lot of cases, and all of that's good news on the front line. So very much enjoying coming back to school and getting back in the swing for this last stretch, as we do from now until June, with so many different things going on. And today has been a busy day, so I'll say more about that later. But let me shout out a quick thank you to our PTO, who did a marvelous job with Faculty and Staff Appreciation Day today. I've got my beautiful little plant here decorating the corner of my desk, and the treats were amazing, and everyone was well taken care of on what was otherwise a brilliant day. And the sunshine certainly helped a lot as well. So really, thank you, PTO, for such a wonderful job today. And parents, all of you who helped to participate and contribute and encourage your kids to bring things in, to value our staff on this one day a year where we dedicate ourselves to saying a big thank you for everything that we do, that all of us do on a daily basis. Very much appreciated. If you haven't figured out the interface yet, you're either watching us on YouTube or you're watching us through our parents group on Facebook. The comment stream is available for you to show your comments, and I can put them up on the screen. Your comments guide us as we have questions throughout the evening, so please feel free to post there. You can do that on YouTube as well as on Facebook, and I see them in a joint interface so that I can put them up for you. There's all the greetings that are coming across tonight. Kudos to the PTO and the volunteers. PTO, you are amazing. A huge shout out from the middle school staff. And thank you to all the parents who support all the initiatives, all wonderful stuff. So keep your comments coming, and we'll certainly take a look at them throughout the night. I'm going to kick off with our COVID update, also in e-notes tonight. So let me bring in Dr. O to the room. Dr. O.
Hi.
Good
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Good, thanks. You got a little bit of a break too, I think, for a few days at least.
I did. Yes,
Yeah.
I had a nice nice break, and yeah, it's a nice, as you said, last stretch before the summer.
There you go. And certainly a lot of sunshine on the horizon. At least that's our hope.
Let's
Well,
hope.
hey, I think we committed to going fairly quickly through this tonight because there's not a lot of change here, but let's pull the screen up and take it kind of slide by slide. We still have our Swiss cheese, although we've modified some of that and relaxed some of these layers. We're still keeping some critical layers in terms of doing a lot of the things that we're doing. So, we keep looking at that layering and making sure we still have some degree of protection as the protection becomes less necessary based on case counts and all of the things that we're monitoring and tracking. We've talked a lot about this. Those first two rows are blocked out now because we don't have statistics for Poland that we can base our decisions on. They're no longer publishing those since the February break. But I think, as you and I talked about, we're still looking at the broader picture through Europe, kind of looking at nearby countries to get a sense of what might be transmission rates. And certainly we're mostly watching the seemingly going down case fatality rate.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is this has been the most critical parameter which I have been watching, and and clearly, at least in this part of the world, in Asia, it's a bit of a different story now.
Right. They're on the uptick, right? And I've got family in Guangzhou that have been locked up for 40 days.
40 days, exactly. So, so at least in this part of the world, we are, I think we're looking at both the cases going down, even Germany, which had a huge spike recently. And also the case fatality rate clearly much lower, getting approaching the flu levels, which has always been kind of the benchmark for us, as kind of saying, okay, this is it, this is kind of what we can live with.
Mm-hmm. Hey, one thing, just a sidebar on this. I don't know what you know. Is the Pfizer antiviral available in Europe yet? Is that making inroads now that it's approved FDA in the United States? There was just an article yesterday that they're ramping up production in the US and expanding it to more locations. Are we seeing it here?
I have not seen it yet, but it will come very shortly, I assume. And that's we have always discussed, along the vaccines, the drugs are something that will help us as we go into this quote unquote endemic phase of the epidemic. And we are having now already quite effective, efficacious medicines for those who fall ill.
Right.
Because that's where we need to focus now our energies. Obviously, again, like with the flu, it may be that we will be seeing other waves coming in.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility. It may not, but it may. So we don't know. We still don't know a lot about. We still don't know everything about this virus. That's the,
That's it.
always,
Right.
that's the challenging part. And obviously we had this. I'm watching very closely this development of this liver disease associated with adenovirus infection in the UK and now many other countries in the US and also some other European countries and in Asia. Whether it is associated with COVID infection or not, we don't know. It probably is not associated with the vaccine. There is some association with COVID, but that is something that obviously will be popping up.
Exactly.
And that's something that we have to be wary of.
Yep. And we've got to also maintain our balanced focus on other epidemiological fronts.
There you are.
That WHO reported an uptick in measles again.
Yeah.
That seems to be a global concern that's reemerging.
It will be a global concern, especially again in our part of the world. In Ukraine, unfortunately, they had a relatively low measles vaccination rate. So it's possible that we got some imports coming in. So we obviously have to be vigilant now about also other pathogens coming in.
Absolutely. Well, to continue our shift, as you said, kind of this quote unquote endemic shift, we've moved from stop, protect, react to protect, identify, react, which is kind of just a shift in saying that we are no longer focused on keeping it out entirely, the attempts of that being what they are. And certainly we saw the spread still hit us no matter what we were doing, although we certainly reduced infection spread by all of our protocols. But now we focus more on attestation, exclusion when ill. Parents, you're doing a great job with this. We're seeing more and more home tests identify kids that you then report to us, and that keeps us safe here at school and reduces spread. Entry and the status through that attestation. We're also now shifting with the better weather to air purification as well as more ventilation. So more open windows on a regular basis as the temperatures come up. We continue cleaning, hand washing, vaccination. We'll continue our testing for identifying. This is more health screening testing, so less frequent. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Cohorts and general group management for exposure, but much more relaxed in that methodology. And the increased use and importance of home testing, which we'll continue to talk about in the coming weeks. And then our reaction changes. We don't have as much close contact identification, but more mitigation strategies. I think that's actually where we go first is, from our crisis team point of view, our conversation has shifted and we're less likely to identify a wide range of close contacts unless there's significant information that no masks enclosed and extended periods of time. But our mitigation options shift to cohort or subgroup masking. We might implement masks again for a subgroup or a cohort, or even the whole school for a short period of time. But it's more shorter periods of time and less as a condition of attendance. And it's just a way of reducing spread when we've got, a potentially serious outbreak. Precautionary testing, that would be additional testing beyond the once a week for individuals or groups or cohorts. That's where our test to stay comes from. We maintain that as a strategy. And then we still hold that virtual school option that we send kids home for, again, short term, minimize the attendance loss, 3 to 5 days, and then reentry testing to get kids back into school. But certainly, the infection rates we saw post-vacation are not suggesting that those strategies need to be deployed at this time. And with our twice this week testing because of the post-vacation, we should be catching most that might emerge. And certainly with the additional backdrop of home testing, we're seeing good results in that. The survey changes. We're going to simplify. Dr. O and I agreed on text today, and we finally have things, I think, organized. And this weekend we'll be simplifying the survey to 4 questions, really focusing on symptoms, which still remain a clear criteria that everyone needs to be checking. And then symptoms in the household. We're seeing, again, as we've stated this multiple times, more internal family spread associated with an infection. So we need to maintain that question, and we need to exclude the household until we can get testing and or test to stay set up. So there's at least a 24-hour gap there before we would bring non-infected students back on a test to stay program when there is a family member that has symptoms or has COVID in the household. And that's questions 3 and 4. Again, for the symptoms, both question 2 and 3, it's very easy after 24 hours to release the whole family back to school by testing the symptomatic individual and confirming a negative test result. And even if it's a positive test result, we still have the option of looking at test to stay for the non-positive family members for the 7-day period, which still holds within our protocol. I think that covers it, Dr. O, right?
Yep, pretty much.
Mask wearing, we move to low, and masks become optional starting on May 2nd. That's not optional day. That's optional from May 2nd going forward. So that gives us Monday, then we're going to have the holiday Tuesday, and then from Wednesday forward will be a mask optional facility going forward. I always reiterate the CDC guidelines that say at all levels of exposure, people can wear a mask based on personal preference, informed by your personal level of risk. That will be respected. Parents communicate with teachers at the early childhood level to make sure we're monitoring and managing your wishes. And if there's a positive test or an exposure that you've had to somebody with COVID, the CDC guidelines are you should wear a mask until it's determined that you are well and that you are no longer a risk to others. So there is this caveat in CDC about those who have been exposed or have symptoms wearing a mask in order to protect others until there's a confirmation of a positive test. And I think even under Polish guidelines, if you've got a positive test, you should be self-isolate. Yeah. Cohort isolation, we relax those boundaries further. So a lot of additional cross-cohort access starting on May 2nd. We actually bent those guidelines a little bit during the art fair before spring break and saw no significant impact. So we're ready to move on that on May 2nd. That means opening primarily the hallway back behind next to the main gym near the cafeteria so that we can open up access to our health room and use that as our main location starting on May 9th. They're going to do some changes in there to make it ready for that, but we'll relax to a single health room that all students can access starting on May 9th in that original hallway. We'll keep the health portables just in case we end up with more difficult situation that we need to relax back into. And then we'll consider during the summer, based on status, whether we'll let go of those and maintain a single health room going into next year. Events. I know this is the big question because there's lots of events coming up. And so Dr. O and other advisors that have given us their insights have offered to us about access. And the Facebook question about the PTO shop, hang tight, it's coming up. Stay tuned. First of all, we're going to move to low profile and allow broader access using test to attend. We've already pushed out some information on this, but we want to clarify a few additional things. First of all, masks will be optional for attendees at events in the same way that we're mask optional at school during the day. We will exclude from test to attend staff, students, and registered volunteers who are already on our regular testing program, so they don't need to test to attend. We will apply the grace period for those who are recently recovered. That's a 4-week period post-recovery that you don't have to test to attend. And you can just show us information about your recovery timeline, and we'll allow you to come in. And then we also allow, and always have allowed, use of outside official testing, not home testing, because remember, home tests, we still have a concern about validity of those tests and their lower percentage rates of sensitivity. So we want to maintain this as official tests. But many of you are reporting that it's very easy to access clinics, doctors, etc., and get a test done and bring a simple certificate with you. Just show that to us. It has to be a test within 24 hours of the event, and you can use that in the test to attend program. Outdoor events, no testing required. Parents are welcome now to sporting events and outdoor events without any limitation. Entrance will primarily be through the exterior entrances, not through the building, although we're going to talk about the building access here in a minute. But outside, events, baseball, the track and field for the spring sports, you have access to that without hindrance. And so everybody's been informed about that. And that kicks off as well all of this kicks off as well on May 2nd going forward. We're also releasing the seating distancing limits in our main spaces of gyms, as in bleachers and the theater, and we're going to an 80% occupancy level. We figure that's good enough for now, and since it's also test to attend, we think that's sufficient for the time being until we open more broadly. Okay, that was a mouthful. I know there's
I'm sorry.
Parents, we're going to move to medium low. That means we're going to allow, starting May 9th, I apologize. We're going to start May 9th with allowing parent access to the central areas without testing to the main area, the main hallway, the cafeteria, and the PTO store. This will be for limited times. From 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. each day. It coincides with cafeteria opening up broader access to their facilities. And actually, that may be May 10th. I think I corrected that in eNotes and forgot to correct it here. So please look at eNotes. eNotes is correct. But 8 to 10 a.m. each day for parents to gather. Yes, PTO, that means you can access the PTO shop, and we can start looking at maybe establishing some hours there between 8 and 10 each day for people to access the PTO store. And of course, it also means that we have an ability to potentially have some PTO meetings in the cafeteria during those hours in the morning on the days where it's appropriate. So yes, May 10th. Thank you, Facebook user. It is May 10th, and this was an error I didn't correct on the slide. So May 10th starting. Testing. We remain in low weekly testing. We're spreading the cohorts across the week. This is health screening testing, which we've always called this. So it helps us to find cases before they spread more broadly and reduces the spread of infection. It doesn't eliminate it, but it reduces spread. We use increased testing as a mitigation strategy. We accept outside official tests. They've always been able to be uploaded into the app, but for the test to attend, test to stay, we'll accept outside official tests, but not home tests. And we do, despite that, we do encourage greater use of home testing when symptoms emerge or 48 hours after you think you've been exposed. So understand the difference in that. If you're symptomatic, you can use a test right away. If you think you've been exposed to COVID, you need to wait 48 hours before testing or you won't get a result. Also, what we're finding in our results is you need to be symptomatic for about 24 hours before you might test positive as well. Some of those early symptoms, we have people still testing negative. About 24 hours later, though, they tend to go positive on symptoms. There's a reason why they sell those tests in 2-packs, right? Because you're supposed to.
Exactly.
this with about a 24-hour gap in between to make sure that you've caught a test, you caught an infection, and you've maybe gone false negative that you've caught as well.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that if you are not positive on the test, on the antigen test, you are not spreading yet. Even though you are symptomatic, you're just, you're not producing enough virus. The symptoms are caused by your immune reaction. So because we have by now, as a population in general and individuals as well, we have developed quite a lot of immunity to COVID through infections, through contact, through vaccinations. We have a very effective immune system which just kicks in very quickly. And it causes the symptoms even before the virus can replicate enough to be contagious to others.
There
and
you
it
go.
becomes contagious in the end, but that then, again, the immune system even strengthens the response and you get more symptoms, etc., etc. So that's the change in what we are observing. Not everywhere, but
so this is related to the breakthrough infections, right? Is that breakthrough infections mean that you've got somebody who's been infected, might have some initial symptoms, which is about the body's response, but may not become infectious right away because they've got that initial protection.
Absolutely.
Oh, hadn't put those two together until just now. That this is a product of vaccination, that we're seeing symptoms before infectiousness. Oh, fascinating. Anyway, so this gives you a sense of where we're going and how we're going to continue with testing. And this will likely remain this way until the end of the year. It'll only go up to higher frequency, again, as a mitigation method for individual cohorts or grade levels and those kinds of things. Let's see. I got a question here. Daughter in high school softball, son in middle school volleyball. Will there be opportunities to watch them? The softball, yes. So you'll just watch the schedule, and when we've got a high school softball game, you'll be able to attend that. The volleyball we'll have to investigate and see, because that's an indoor event. And so again, we're differentiating indoor from outdoor because of the proximity and because of the ventilation. But let Dr. O and I think about that one relative to attendance and whether we'll do that as a test to attend event. I think that's probably the direction that we'll go on that.
Absolutely.
But thank you.
Performances,
yeah. So I think it's just like our performances that are coming up. We're going to do those as test to attend because they're in closed areas. All of the information about when these things are happening is in e-notes. So this is, again, re-encouragement. Always read your e-notes, and that'll tell you what's coming up. And you'll also get direct messages for particular grade levels and divisions relative to events that are coming up. The one that's most pertinent and coming up quickly is PYPX. So I think you'll get information tomorrow on parents' ability to attend the PYP exhibition, the PYPX. Cafeteria continues now at low level in mitigation, 8 to 4 starting on May 10th. So I got it right on this slide. Open for mixed students except elementary and staff access. This is a good point, as we have to remember, I just got to go back to the games. We don't have people to compete with as much, but we're going to do intramurals, and we will have some scheduled opportunities at some point for you to observe. We do have 2 traveling teams going out that are pulling together that are based on new protocols for low impact travel. This is bus traveling to nearby locations as a first test run of potentially getting students into competitions, small tournaments with protocols. And Dr. O has been advising us on those protocols to make sure that we're making good decisions about the amount of testing, the way in which we're traveling, the way in which we're being housed at the location, and so on. So those are set to start happening in May, and those are coming up fairly quickly here. We're just going to relax the temperature checking at the main entrance. So we're only going to be temperature checking unbadged individuals and non-green on OK for School, which means those not doing OK for School would still be temperature checked on the way in. And then we're going to maintain limited access to the cohorts for parents. We're just going to keep parents in that central corridor for now with the opening on May 10th. And if we see a drop in the parent infections, which, by the way, has been a significant portion of our cases recently, then we'll re-examine that and possibly open more broadly, again, with maybe a limited time frame or a limited access. And you're welcome. We're trying to get this going, official game or intramural. We'll get them things out there for you for the sports. All right. Other questions, people, please pop it into the comments. Let us answer your questions if there are any. I'll keep talking and give you some wait time, but please let us know if you have any other questions that we can answer. Otherwise, we'll make it end here with it being quick and simple. Dr. O, we're on a good place.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think hope is in everybody's hearts that we're maybe seeing something that's going to even out at this level. We know it's not going to all go away, that there's still going to be some element of this. But what's the potential that these mini waves won't be as significant as we might think they could be?
Yeah, again, it all depends on the on the mutations and the variability between the mutations and the kind of genomic and hence proteomic composition of the virus. So far we have observed, obviously, with each new generation, let's say, of the variants of concern, that they are less deadly. And the less deadly is a bit of a caveat, because it's less deadly because we have a better immune system. So they are not necessarily less deadly just by themselves. We are just more immune to them. So they are more infectious. So again, we are concerned that suddenly there will be a wave and it will knock everybody out for a week at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And still, when there are many infections, even 0.01% hospitalization rate will be a lot. So we will see. I mean, it's extremely difficult to now predict how the next wave will look like. We will most likely have it in the autumn, like we had in the previous years, Again, it all depends on the mutations and how they will play out.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best, as we always do. And certainly we're prepared to take on the challenge if it comes down the path. We've got the protocols. We can put them in place again and keep school open in the face of
that's the point. Absolutely. And whenever I talk to whoever, frankly, they always kind of say, "Oh, the American school has been so lucky throughout COVID because they were open all the time."
Yeah.
Some of them don't even know that we were supporting this effort, but it's just completely spontaneous, reactions of a bit of encouragement that such a school existed in Poland.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we can thank our entire community for their participation in making that happen for us, accepting, even though grudgingly at times, our path forward. And again, as I wrote tonight in e-notes, I really appreciate all of the feedback and input that we've gotten from parents over time. Every comment is read. You can understand why we can't react to every comment. That if we did that, we'd never be done, and we'd be constantly chasing things. But I do want everyone to know that the positive comments, as well as those that are more, here's what I'd like to see you consider, are looked at all the time, and we try to make sure that we stay on top of that. To be responsive to the community while also being responsive to the science. And so those two go hand in hand in a lot of ways, and making sure everybody feels comfortable. Absolutely. All right, Dr. O, thanks again for joining me tonight. I appreciate it.
Pleasure as always. Thanks very much.
All right, talk to you later. Bye. Got one more thing on the agenda tonight, and I want to start by introducing you to someone. Let me just say a word before I go there, though. We have so much in this school to be proud of on the service learning front. And we call it service learning, but it's really service. and the way in which we rally to the things we need to do. We're not doing a major focus on Ukraine tonight. We're going to do that in 2 weeks because we're preparing some things to share out with you about some of the things we're doing on that front. All of that information is on the website. It's still being updated on a regular basis. Along with that, or maybe directly in parallel to that, we continue to grow what we have told you about before and called the Culture of Giving program. Culture of Giving is about how we partner with companies, with individuals, with a lot of different things to support the school and its aims and goals. Now, whether that's operational, building, service learning endowments, scholarships, all these things that are under the list, it's a massive undertaking that we've committed to growing over the next 3 to 5 years, and we were only about 2 years into it, but COVID took a year away from us. So we're really only about a year into Culture of Giving and really trying to bring it to fruition. And this is the year where it's starting to get traction. So with that in mind and that backdrop, I want to introduce you to Mike Teske. Mike, join me, sir. Mike is, and Mike, I'm going to unmute you here, or I think you can unmute you.
There we go. Hi there.
There we go. Gotcha. Mike Teske is our Culture of Giving manager. He is Nancy Teske's husband. So Nancy, our band teacher, brought him with her. But Mike has this broad background in working with colleges and other schools around the world in the development realm. And we're just so happy to have his expertise brought to the table here at ASW. And he's been working busily in the background on a major event that's coming up. He's dealing with all that other stuff I talked about, which is Culture of Giving and bringing it to fruition. We're looking for partners, talking to corporations, building capability of our board of trustees in this realm. But Mike, tell us about yourself and say hi to everybody.
Thanks, John. Hello, everyone. It's really a special treat for me to be part of the ASW community and have this enhanced role. For the first half of the year, I was at home here in downtown Warsaw, working remotely with our former school at the American International School in Mozambique, and helping them with advancement admissions, marketing, communications. And I've really been pleased to be able to add a role with ASW here, and that's in this realm of developing the Culture of Giving program, more specifically. And it's been a real treat to be able to jump into this and have such terrific partners, not only to the staff that I've been fortunate to work with, but the volunteers, the PTO, which is phenomenal. And working to continue the work that had been done before, I got involved with this to extend it and to land on some milestones to accomplish. And one of those milestones is what John was referring to, which this event. We're calling it the Culture of Giving Gala, and it's going to be on June 4th in the evening, and it is going to celebrate service and showcase service. It will feature our students who are involved in arts and music, and but we'll also programmatically seek to raise money to extend our capacity even further to allow what we've been doing already this year to be enhanced moving forward. It's going to be a fantastic event. The spaces on ASW's campus are going to be transformed. You're really going to be pleased and delighted to see some of the spaces maybe you haven't seen in a while look completely different. And the theme is going to be a stroll around. And the idea is, if you think about going to downtown to Stare Miasto and the surprises you might see on a Saturday evening or a Sunday evening during a special occasion, that's the kind of stuff you'll see here. A nice, elegant evening out with surprises all around. So we are going to hope to showcase, like I said, the wonderful service programs that have occurred this year. Yes, Ukraine, but also many other things. And do our best to raise important monies to do more moving forward. So that's essentially the quick pitch. You'll see more on this website. The tickets are going to go on sale maybe as early this weekend, if not this weekend, maybe early next week. And people can purchase individual tickets, group tickets, and get a table, participate in a raffle, and see wonderful examples of service. So that's it in a nutshell. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. But looking forward to working with ASW on this important event.
And we'll be right here on the ASW campus. We're transforming it like we've done for Stanuka in the past. This picture shows that. But it's going to be an amazing transformation of our annex gym into this wonderful stroll around gala location. And we're going to have our first one here. And this is meant to also, we hope, to establish an annual tradition of a gala event. Not necessarily always in June. This has been postponed 3 times now during COVID. It was originally planned for November a year and a half ago. It was tentatively planned for November this year, pushed to June. And we think we've got this wonderful date on June 4th that will give us an opportunity to get together as a community in support of these amazing initiatives that are going on all around us, and keep them going, keep them sustainable as a school, as a culture of giving, through endowments, through all the things that we'll be mustering this year and in years to come. So that just gives you a good sense of it, everybody. If you have questions about this, please shoot it to us. But as Mike points out, we'll be putting the big blitz on communication early next week in getting the ticket sales open and started. And we'll be very excited to see those numbers grow so that we can have this wonderful sparkling event together to, in this case, cap off our year. So thank you for that. And yes, Facebook user, I do agree. Nice picture of Stanuka. Which is also coming up and will be open and having parents in attendance again. Mike, thank you so much for coming in and sharing this with us. It really is important, I think, to get your face out there and get people to get to know you. I know you've got a wonderful team. And we should mention that Ligita, who's also managing the Ukraine, has also taken on the role as your event coordinator, working hand in hand with you in making sure that we put this event on in due form. And I know you've got a strong cadre from PTO that's also helping to make this a brilliant event.
They're amazing. They are amazing.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Okay, we had one more comment that was put up here. ES students will not be accessing the cafeteria yet. That was on one of my slides. We're still maintaining the cohorts. We're allowing a little bit of crossing, but we're not ready to mix everything back into the cafeteria. And our schedules have been set up for the year that makes it hard for us to retract those now. So I'm going to assume that was Mr. Flatiger getting us the information on cafeteria, or maybe Miss Miranda. Again, I don't see the names here unless you go through the process on Facebook to give StreamYard permission to show your name. So you don't have to do that. It's just something that's part of the Facebook system and has to be done in order for your name to show. But thank you for reminding us about that elementary, we're not really pushing back into the cafeteria at this time. We're really going to keep that upper school and adults. All right. Are there any other questions out there? I just want to make sure I've captured everything. This is your last chance to throw a comment out there. Seeing nothing, I'm going to say thank you very much for joining us tonight. I know we had a smaller cadre, probably a lot of tired people today from all the volunteers engaged in faculty and staff appreciation. But really, thank you very much for all of that and for making it a great place. That I want to finish with is my quick message and a little video, if you will, to finish out the thank yous. I like to throw my thank you into this as well. So to all the faculty and staff out there, whatever your role, whatever you contribute to the school to make it run and operate every day, this one is for you.
T-H-A-N-K-Y-O-U. Thank you, thank you. T-H-A-N-K-Y-O-U. Thank you, thank you. T-H-A-N-K-Y-O-U. T-H-A-N-K-Y-O-U. Thank you, 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 thank you.
Thank you.